Earlier this week, a 25-year-old shooting guard for the Milwaukee Bucks made NBA history. Meet AJ Green, aka Derry Bird, who just broke the NBA record for consecutive threes taken without a two-point field goal. AJ has been a very key piece for a struggling Milwaukee Bucks team early on in this season, and in this video, we're going to talk about how he made NBA history, dive deeper into some things about his game I think are underappreciated, and ultimately share with you guys my thoughts on the Bucks as a whole and where I see his career going in the future. Let's get right into this video. So AJ comes from Cedar Falls, Iowa, which is the town that the University of Northern Iowa resides in. Matter of fact, his dad was an assistant coach at UNI. He actually gained a decent amount of recognition through his high school mixtapes, Ball is Life, Instagram accounts, etc. As a 4-star top 100 recruit in the class of 2018, he became the highest rated recruit in the University of Northern Iowa's history. He wasted no time in his freshman year at UNI, winning Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year, being the leading scorer on the Panthers at 15 points per game, and leading them to the Missouri Valley Conference Championship as the 6th seed, defeating Drake in the semifinals, and ultimately losing by 2 to Bradley, just missing the big dance. In AJ's sophomore year at UNI, he would average 19.7 points per game, leading the Panthers to a 25-6 record on the year and the #1 seed in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. He also would win Missouri Valley Player of the Year. Although we didn't have the NCAA tournament in 2020 due to COVID, the Panthers wouldn't have made it anyway. They ended up getting upset in the first round of that conference tournament to Drake. That offseason, AJ tested the NBA draft waters, thought about entering the draft, but ultimately decided to return to school for his junior year. Unfortunately, after 2 games of playing through hip discomfort, he would end up having surgery, missing the rest of his junior season. AJ's senior season, he picked up right where he left off as a sophomore, averaging 18.8 points per game, and again leading UNI to the #1 seed in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, becoming a 2-time Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. But again, in the semis of the tournament, they would get upset by Loyola Chicago 66-43. And AJ's college career would come to an end. As he entered the 2022 NBA draft, there was some talk about him potentially going towards the back end of the second round, but ultimately he went undrafted and quickly signed with the Milwaukee Bucks as an undrafted free agent. His rookie season, he didn't really spend too much time in the G League, would appear in 35 games and really be an 11th or 12th guy on the bench. His sophomore season, he played a little more, 56 games, and in both of those years, he would shoot over 40% from 3 when he got minutes. He showed in the little amount of time that he had that he could be a productive player on the offensive end and had solid defense. Heading into this season with Chris Middleton out with an ankle injury and struggling veteran play of guys like Gary Trent Jr., AJ has had an opportunity to play the most minutes of his career by far, and he's taken full advantage of them. Matter of fact, he's averaging 17 minutes per game, 7.8 points per game, and shooting 50% from 3 on 5 attempts. Up until November 13th versus the Pistons, the Bucks' last game, AJ had not attempted a 2-point field goal on the year. He was strictly a sniper on the offensive end. Here's the field goal that broke that streak. Absolutely not worth it. I think it's super funny because this type of player you just do not see really in the NBA. Taking this many threes, almost never getting to the free throw line, almost never shooting 2s, but shooting 50% from 3 is something you see in high school basketball, not necessarily the NBA. Like I said, Gary Trent Jr. is one player for the Bucks they had super high hopes for, but has been having a disappointing season to start. Matter of fact, he's supposed to be, has historically been a sniper of his own from behind the arc, shooting 41% from 3 last year. Yet this year he's shooting just 26%. Obviously, I don't think he's going to shoot that for the entire year, but with those struggles, plus a couple of games he was out with, I believe, were back spasms, AJ Green had an opportunity to play even more minutes. And over the past 6 games, this is how his game logs have looked. He's only had really one stinker in those 6 games, and it was that Detroit game. But he tied his career high for threes, 7 for 9 versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, being a +5 in a game they lost by 2. And then he went 4 for 6 from 3, 3 for 6, 4 for 6 from 3, 4 for 14. And if you see some of these shots he's making, they're not always the easiest shots. Some of them, absolutely, it helps having Giannis to have someone in the corner he can trust. But some of the other shots, they're side steps, they're pump fakes and step backs. A lot of these threes have been really impressive. Now, I don't expect him to shoot 50% from 3 on the year, but I don't see why he can't shoot 43 to 45%. With that being said about his offense, I think it's obviously super important people are talking about it. He just broke an NBA record for most consecutive threes taken without a 2. However, I think one unappreciated part of AJ Green's game that not many people are paying attention to outside of the Milwaukee fan base is his defense. The Bucks have struggled on defense to start the year, and I think it's something they really have to lean into if they want to be a team that can make a difference in these playoffs. But AJ Green is a pretty dang good defender, and if you take a look, I know that doesn't fit the stereotype of a white guy who only shoots threes, but he's actually a pretty decent athlete, and he has some weight to him as well, so he's not able to get pushed around the way some other lankier defenders are. As I've been talking, I've been showing you some clips of what I mean defensively from AJ Green. What I appreciate the most about him is his motor, and I know that sounds like a classic thing to say about white guys, but today's video is brought to you by Autograph. Autograph is the first of its kind app that rewards your fandom for your favorite NBA teams. The way it works is it curates a feed inside the app of your favorite creators from your favorite NBA team, and the more you engage with it, the more coins you earn, which unlock giveaways like this Jason Tatum signed jersey. And when it comes to playoff time, playoff tickets. They gave a lot of playoff tickets away on this channel just last year. But my favorite part is a new feature they added called Rooms. We've created a Hardwood room in partnership with them, and I will be live inside of that room for various NBA games throughout the season, including this Thursday, 1 hour before Wolves versus Raptors. So what are you waiting for? Download the app. It's completely free. Use my code Hardwood. Begin rewarding your fandom and join the fastest growing fan-led movement in all of sports. Thanks to Autograph for being a partner of the channel. Let's get back to the video. In terms of AJ Green, it's true. You can just tell every single possession. It's almost like he knows that he almost didn't make the NBA, that this is his one opportunity to become a staple in a rotation for any NBA team the rest of his career. And he's taking full advantage of that. He literally gives 100% effort on every single possession I've personally watched. Now, of course, I'm sure there's some that I have not seen, but what I've seen, I cannot think of a possession where I've been like, dang, man, you kind of took a play off there. It's also not just me that thinks that. Eric Nem from The Athletic, who covers the Milwaukee Bucks, made that observation himself. And after watching more AJ Green film, I've actually come to appreciate the defensive side of his game more than the offensive. Like I said, he does not take a possession off. He's always working hard. A couple of these recovers he has, most guys in the NBA would just half-ass it over there, take a couple steps, or just, oh, I got beat. The dude doesn't do that. He's always moving. And even on the offensive end, he's always moving. He's always relocating. A lot of the time, he's in the right position, and if he's not, he has that basketball IQ to relocate to where he needs to be. Those little things really make a difference on the margins in the NBA, and it could honestly end up being the difference between him just having a little bit of a run here and him being someone who is a role player for the majority of his career. NBA teams are looking for guys like AJ Green. With that being said, let's take a quick look at some advanced stats, and then ultimately I'll give you my take on where I think the Milwaukee Bucks go from here. As we can see on cleantheglass.com, it's AJ Green's defense analytically that stands out more than his offense. The Bucks are giving up 8 points less per 100 possessions with him on the floor defensively, and he also leads the team in turnover percentage with him on the floor. If we take a look at just basic on-off numbers, you'll see when AJ Green's on the court, the Bucks have a plus 1.3 net rating, which may not seem like all that great of a number, but when you consider that the Bucks have a team net rating of minus 2.9, that obviously changes things. And then if you also take a look at the fact that just Ryan Rollins, who's only played 68 minutes this year, and Andre Jackson Jr. are the only two players above AJ Green in net rating on the team, you start to provide a little bit of a fuller picture of how important he's been to this Bucks team, which is funny to say because they're struggling and they're 4-8. However, without guys like AJ Green and Andre Jackson Jr., it may be worse for the Bucks early on. I do have to say again, a lot of these on-off stats, they are a part of the picture. They're not everything, but when you see something on film watching games and then you confirm that with some of these on-off advanced analytics, I think that's a pretty good argument that you're onto something. And so I also took a look on some specific player on-off stats for the Bucks. And as you can see here, when Taurean Prince and Gary Trent Jr. are off the court and AJ Green is on it, the Bucks have a plus 22.65 net rating. Meanwhile, while both Taurean Prince and Gary Trent Jr. are on the court, AJ Green's off, they have a -9. If you add Andre Jackson Jr. in there, who I have been a huge fan of this season as well, the story gets even a little clearer. Him and AJ Green on the floor together have been awesome. It's really been him and Andre Jackson Jr. who have stepped up massively, while guys like Bobby Portis and Gary Trent Jr. have struggled to start this year. So props to the young guys. As far as the Milwaukee Bucks going forward, I really do think they're still going to make the playoffs. I could see them still being a 6 seed. No one knows what's going to happen with Chris Middleton. He's getting older. He's dealt with injuries almost every year for a while now, but regardless, when you are surrounding Giannis with shooting and decent defense like the Bucks are starting to figure out, that team's going to make the playoffs. That team's probably going to avoid the play-in. Plus, the East is so bad this year. If the Bucks don't get the 5 or 6 seed, that's a catastrophic failure in my opinion. With that being said, I said this in my previous Bucks video as well when they were 1-6. I don't see how Gary Trent Jr. shoots 26% the rest of the year. However, if it continues for the next like 6 to 8 games, I don't see how you continue playing him more minutes than AJ Green the rest of the year. I know for a while they benched him, they barely played him, but in that game versus Detroit, he was back playing his regular starter minutes. Obviously, he deserves that chance to prove himself. He's done enough in his career to do so, but I think the clock is ticking. Just taking one more look at the Eastern Conference standings, if the Bucks let a team like the Brooklyn Nets, the Detroit Pistons, even the Atlanta Hawks cause them to miss the playoffs or even be in the play-in tournament, I don't know what to say, man. I would be shocked. I'll just say that. I don't know what exactly to say, but I'd be shocked. I still believe the Bucks are a better team than those teams, even though I love Dyson Daniels and I think the Hawks are onto something, but we'll just have to see. It's the beauty of the NBA. Hopefully you've heard a little bit about AJ Green, but you learned something new in this video. He's an awesome dude. If you watch some of his interviews, he just seems like a super down-to-earth, likable guy, which I really appreciate. I mean, this dude could have went to a couple pretty big colleges coming out of high school. He chose to stick with his hometown team where his dad coached. I think that's super admirable, and it didn't work out for him in terms of he sacrificed the NCAA tournament for it. And maybe I'm just a little biased because I'm from Iowa and I remember hearing about him in high school, but nonetheless, I digress. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I promise you, I'm trying to get a video out on the Cleveland Cavaliers and a video out on Dyson Daniels. Hopefully the Cavs don't drop one before I get a video out, and hopefully Dyson Daniels continues with these 5 or 6 steal games. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, we'll see ya on the hardwood.